So as we get started, I just want to give a brief uh, welcome to everyone and talk about today's discussion. And it is about sometimes when you're looking for your next job and you're trying to assess your candidate to market fit in the job market that you haven't been before. And that's pretty much everyone that is job seeking post COVID because the job market has dramatically changed and it's not going back to where it was before COVID. So now the tactics and the strategies as to how you would engage with people is completely different than if you were job searching before COVID. And currently, the job market, unfortunately, for mid-career professionals, whether you're an individual contributor or a people manager with lots of years of experience, it is a tough job market right now because there's a lot of demand, a lot of supply of job seekers right now who were recently laid off by larger companies, and all those started since 2022. And now you may be stuck. And sometimes you might hear feedback as you're talking to people about possible openings and opportunities that you might need to reskill or upskill yourself. And how do you do that? Because sometimes it's expensive to be paying for a training course or some certification course and then go through a certification exam, such as, for example, the PMP exam if you are a PMI member seeking your PMP certification. So today's topic is going to talk about specifically this particular program that is available from the federal government. And for that, we have actually invited a guest speaker, and that is James LeBlanc. And James is with WorkSource Montgomery. And James is a director of community impact at WorkSource Montgomery, and he has served in the workforce development industry since 2012. And he has had many different types of jobs, and I will let him introduce himself as well, but then also talk and give us a brief overview of the WIOA program. And all of this, we will also be sharing some information via the chat as well. So with that, I'd like to welcome James. And James, welcome. Can you please introduce yourself and then let us know a little bit more about this WIOA program?
All right, thanks, Hector. I'm James LeBlanc. I'm the Director of Community Impact at WorkSource Montgomery, which is Montgomery County's official workforce development entity. And I'll attempt to share my screen, see how this goes. Share. And here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go over a basic presentation. Of course, I will highlight the WIOA program. So a lot of this may not apply, and I will try to, pinpoint the slides that are important for this group and not, waste your time. What I will say is that in my current role, I am the Director of Community Impact, meaning that my job is to go out and do what I'm doing today, present about our overall services at WorkSource Montgomery. I'm not so much in the mix with, talking directly to businesses and employers. So there may be questions about, well, who's hiring right now? And I'd have to direct you to our business solutions team because they're the ones who are actually engaging with employers every day. But I can tell you how to connect with us and how to access all the resources that we have for job seekers. And so let me go ahead and get started. These are our locations right now. I'm sorry, this slide's a little messed up. I apologize. It's not symmetrical, but I just added, because we keep adding locations. I haven't been able to get this over to comms, so we have locations in Germantown at the Regional Service Center. These are brick and mortar. Wheaton is our comprehensive. Oh, by the way, can you see my screen? I should ask that because I made that mistake before. Any kind of thumbs up indication?
I see it.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I can see it.
All right. Yeah, I've gotten halfway through my presentation and was told that, I wasn't sharing. So the Wheaton location is on Georgia Avenue. It's our comprehensive center. Comprehensive meaning that we have partners co-located with us there, such as LEDC, which is the Latino Economic Development Corporation that delivers financial literacy to folks. We have Montgomery College there, as well as about 7 or 8 other partners who are located there. The American Job Centers are also in Germantown and Wheaton, and those are job centers that are located all over the country. And folks can come in and use the computers and the resources that are there. We also have a location in East County, a satellite office in East County, and a virtual job center. Skill at Montgomery is a virtual learning platform that you can access online. The Mobile American Job Center is something we're very excited about and proud of, and that's also under my purview. It's literally that, a mobile job center. We take it out. It has Wi-Fi embedded. It has 7 workstations, a wheelchair lift. We literally are able to go out and bring our services out into the community, because as we all know, ever since COVID, folks aren't as likely to go to brick and mortar buildings. So we want to bring it out. It's a big county, and we want to, especially the underserved communities, we want to bring our services out so it's accessible for everybody. We also have a reentry job center in the facility, the jail in Boyds, Maryland, where we have staff inside who are preparing folks for reentry, and then they're handed off to our staff out here, which is another location. I need to get that on the slide. We have a Justice Empowerment Center at the Wheaton location, which is specifically designed for folks, for returning citizens. And then also the Financial Empowerment Center, also at Wheaton, that I mentioned before. LEDC runs that, and that's about financial literacy for Montgomery County individuals. This is kind of the ecosystem, the usual suspects you might think that are connected to workforce development, the chambers, Montgomery College, economic development, and those kinds of entities. We do have targeted populations, but we don't turn anyone away. And this is the Mobile Job Center. These are pictures that we took at our very first event a little over a year ago. And as you see inside, people are actually literally working as if they're in an office. There's a printer. They can print their resumes out. They can do job search. So it's really a game changer for us. And our numbers have gone up dramatically as far as the folks that we're able to assist due to being mobile. We also have a community asset map, and I'll put that link in the chat. That is, we have now over 140 organizations on our asset map. All the information is current, because as we all know, it's not just about getting a job or progressing in your career, but there's also other needs regarding folks' internal infrastructure. And so, housing, healthcare, mental health, any kind of those types of things. So we want to assist as holistically as we can. And I will put that info in the chat as well. We're all about service, and we are here to serve. And so this is what I really wanted to get to here. This slide for job seekers. On your left, you'll see a column that is headed Career Services, and that is basically the American Job Centers that I mentioned earlier. Everybody's welcome. Everybody can use the technology, the computers, the printers, get the LMI information, get professional development training through our free workshops. There are hiring events, there's unemployment information, and those are the brick and mortar American Job Centers that are located in Wheaton and Germantown. And on the right is what Hector really was asking me to talk about, but where it says training services, and that is available for folks who are eligible and suitable for the WIOA program, the WIOA funding. And so WIOA is an acronym, WIOA. It stands for the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, which is legislation that was passed under President Obama's administration in 2014. And it funds and informs workforce development efforts all over the country. And it's broken down into different areas. In other words, counties for the most part. So Montgomery County has a WIOA plan. Prince George's County, Howard County, any county in the country has a WIOA plan, and they're all pretty similar with different nuances. And so in Montgomery County, we have a WIOA plan. And so if you if you register for WIOA, first you would go through our intake team, and that's more of a sort of a deep dive assessment on, are we the best match for you? Are we, are we going to be able to assist you in what you're looking for? And so if the answer is yes, and if you have, it's documentation heavy, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They're going to ask for pretty much everything because we're federally funded. So we get audited all the time. We're going through an audit right now, as a matter of fact. And so we're going to need birth certificates, social, proof of residency, all kinds of documentation that should be readily available, but for some folks they have to go, search and find some things. But once you're in WIOA, though, you get a plethora of resources that we offer. So you get your own career advisor who kind of walk shoulder to shoulder with you through this, career exploration journey. And you and your career advisor develop we call it an IEP, an individual employment plan. And that employment plan may include the third bullet, occupational skills training, which is something I'm very excited about with WIOA because there's up to $5,000 available per individual for occupational skills training. This is not accredited college courses. This is, for example, get your PMI, or some folks go get their CDL. Some folks stack IT credentials, what have you. We can also pay for testing, so you can get those industry recognized credentials that you need. And so that's a huge asset to registering for WIOA. You also get supportive services. So you may need transportation assistance till you get that first paycheck. You may need childcare, what have you. We just paid for a job seeker needed a hearing aid to help them on the job they were placed in. We bought them that. So there are supportive services available through this funding. Of course, job placement assistance is always the end game, and we don't want to. And that's one of the reasons when I said eligible and suitable, because we find that there are folks who love to stack credentials but aren't necessarily motivated to go to work, and just to put it bluntly. And I don't get that. I've never had that luxury, but some folks, I guess, don't need to actually go to work, but they stack credentials. And so we want to make sure that folks are really, they want to get into a career or upskill in their present career or switch careers. But whatever it is, we want to make sure they're motivated to actually go to work. And so we place folks, we have a whole business solution team that I alluded to earlier, that all they do is develop relationships with businesses. And then do hiring events and supply them with candidates. Montgomery County is a unique county because, like Hector said, this is my 13th year in this industry in workforce development, and I've done this in Washington, D.C., and Anne Arundel County, and now in Montgomery County. And Montgomery County is pretty unique in that there are a lot of high-level job seekers here with advanced degrees and way more credentials than I have, So we tailor our job search for the individual. In other areas that I've worked in, we got a lot of what we used to say punches in bunches, where we would just go place 10 people at a construction site or 12 people at a warehouse, or and that's not the way it is in Montgomery County. It's mostly one-offs where we develop a plan, we put you in front of opportunities that match your credentials, and place you where you need to be placed. And so it's a little, the numbers aren't, it's like I say, it's mostly one-offs and a lot of individual placements, but that's the way it needs to be in this county because of the level of job seeker that we're working with. So There's also subsidized employment, which I'll talk about on the next slide. And another thing I really love about WIOA is a 12-month post-employment case management, which is, I call it the follow-up team, which is once we do help and assist place you in employment, we don't just drop you off and say good luck. We actually check in with you at least once a month to make sure your needs are being met. If there's any other kind of supportive services we can help you with, and just to make sure, and quite frankly, full transparency, we are measured on not just placement, but on retention. So it behooves us for you to keep your job. So we follow up with you. I mean, we care as well, don't get me wrong, but it also, it's one of the things that we're measured on is well, this is kind of programmatic language, but it's the second and fourth quarter after placement that we're also measured on. So you will be getting support for that year after you actually get placed. And just wanted to touch on this business services. A lot of this is for businesses, small businesses. We do have grants for small businesses, but we also have OJT, on the job training, which is a really good model. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that a lot of businesses take advantage of. Let's just say that there's one of you, or let's just say me, let's just take me for example. James goes and interviews for a position. They like James, but they're just not sure. Maybe my background isn't quite up to the standard. My credentials aren't quite up to the standard, but they think I might be a good fit. So what the business will do is work out a contract with our business solutions team to where you do put James on payroll. However, WorkSource Montgomery reimburses James's salary up to 75% for up to 6 months. So it's a really good model that businesses take advantage of because it's sort of test before you really invest. It takes kind of some of the financial burden off of the business while James has proven himself at the job. And we all kind of know it doesn't take 6 months to know someone's going to work out. Usually know within a couple of weeks, but we give it a nice long runway for that to work out. So that's something that folks can take advantage of. We also have incumbent worker training, which means folks are already in place. We can take cohorts and upskill them and offset that cost as well for the business. This is about MoCo. This is about our, so we have a new, I won't stay on this long. This is a new, there's new legislation in Maryland called Blueprint for Maryland, which at the end of the day, one of the subsets of one of the pillars is workforce development. And very simply, we now have career advisors inside all the middle and high schools in Montgomery County, helping the kids, the students, sort of figure out who they are and how that relates to possible careers down the road via it's called the RIASEC assessment. And we also have a program for out-of-school youth. This is for 16 to 24-year-olds who are not in school. And we have great opportunities for them as well, and a very nice stipend that they get when we put them in what we call work experiences. And I talked about our Justice Empowerment Center for returning citizens as well. And we're very excited about that as well. And that's it, because I wanted to leave a lot of time for Q&A if you do have questions. And this is just our social media, platforms that you can connect with us on, as well as our newsletter. And that is really it. I will see the chat's been active. Sorry, I'm very
So I do have questions. Actually, it'll be good if you can stop sharing your screen so we can actually go to view everybody. But I do have a first question, and also I'm going to ask the audience, if you have a question, you can either feel free to type it in via the chat. I will ask it, or you can raise your hand and then open up your webcam and mic and ask your question to James. So the first question to get us started is, as a dislocated mid-career management professional, if I'm looking for my next role, how can I find out like what type of certification or certificate programs are qualified to I can get funded to pursue that? So for example, as a PMI member, if I decide that I'm seeing a lot of jobs that require a PMP. Besides a PMP, what other types of programs, and how do I find out what is qualified for WIOA funding?
Right. Great question. So there is a list of qualified training providers that the state of Maryland have deemed eligible for WIOA funding. And so that is called, we call it the ETPL, the Eligible Training Provider List. And you and your career advisor will go on the ETPL and decide which training provider you want to go with. Maybe it's someone that is convenient for you locally, or just whatever reason you have for choosing that training provider. But that is the that's the process. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull it up now again, challenged with multitasking. But I will put that link in the chat too. But it's something that you and your career advisor sort of work out together. And then yeah, you work out, it's called an ITA, an individual training account. And your career advisor submits that to the career services manager, who approves it. And then yeah, you start your training and we pay for it. So, and we have funding specifically for that. We need to spend those dollars. So it's not a heavy lift to get approved for an ITA.
So in essence, if I can make sure that I'm understanding this, ETPL is available, but you've got to, as a job seeker, I need to be working with a career advisor in my county in order for me to view available programs. Is that correct?
Right. You can search it all day on your own, but you have to go through a WIOA provider such as us to get that funding. So you're pretty much going to need to be connected to us. If you're a Montgomery County resident, then we have access to that funding. So you'd want to work with a career advisor.
Sounds great. And Rusty, you have your hand up. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and if you can ask your question, will be great. Are you able to unmute?
There we go.
Yes.
Not too clever with the use of a mouse and unmuting. I apologize. But my question is this. How, you may have mentioned it, but does WorkSource Montgomery relate in any way to Maryland Department of Labor's Professional Outplacement Assistance Center, POAC?
Not sure. Is that part of the American Job Centers, or is that
That's under Department of Labor in Maryland Department of Labor?
Well, that's why I asked, because the Maryland Department of Labor runs the American Job Centers. So
okay, well, maybe I'm not the person to ask, but I'm
okay. I can check. I can check if it's the same or something different. But yeah, that's the staff you'll talk to when you go into the American Job Centers. They're Maryland Department of Labor staff. So it's a little, we work together, but in the brick and mortar inside those AJCs, that's Maryland DOL.
Got it. So that may well be Professional Outplacement Assistance Center related then. Got it. Thanks. That was my question.
Okay.
My understanding, Rusty, is WorkSource Montgomery works Montgomery County only, and they support job seekers that reside in Montgomery County. POAC is actually also under DLLR, the Department of Labor of Maryland, but they support all of Maryland.
That's right.
Now, physically, they're located, I believe it's in either Howard County. They're off of near the airport. That's where the physical location.
That's what I recall. That's what I recall.
So
yes.
They may only support the WorkSource program for that county where they're located. But if you live somewhere else and you want to qualify, you need to work with a career advisor in your county. That's regardless of where you live, you got to work with your career advisor in your county, because they're the ones that are responsible for deploying funding for WIOA program funds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm seeing POEC now. Thank you, Rusty. I should know about this. So I appreciate that. But that it looks like that's something separate than the staff that's at the American Job Centers in the
Okay.
different kind of. This looks like a one location in Linthicum Heights.
Yes, that's what I recall, Linthicum Heights, right. Mhm.
Yes. Now, James, any other questions from the audience? I wanted to make sure that we continue the questions, but I have another question. I guess the key takeaways, if and correct me if I'm wrong, is number one, it is possible that as a dislocated worker, um, whether or not I reside in your county, but I can still go to a career advisor in whatever county I'm at, and then look for the the WIOA program, and then look for allowable programs where I can either reskill or upskill myself in whatever my next role is.
Correct.
And then also the other thing is that to leverage the resources, it really is, I have to work with an assigned career advisor that is working with that is in my county that has been assigned to me, and there's some sort of onboarding process. You mentioned that there's a lot of work involving submitting proof of citizenship and all that, right? What do you find is for professionals? So I'm talking about professionals, and most of our members we're all like mostly mid-career professionals, meaning we have a few years of work experience, and now we're entering the management position. And many of us, even though we have a manager title, often we start with being individual contributors that are sort of reporting status and managing projects, not necessarily managing people, right? What what is the what is the best approach for us to tap into our the right resources within the county if we don't live in Montgomery County? What is your advice to make sure that we can get attention from the right person to help us navigate the funding process?
Just look up American Job Center in wherever you are, and that'll get you. Just contact the American Job Center wherever you are. I would advise. So when you say WIA, that's so it's. And this is going to sound nitpicky, but it is WIOA because WIA was actually the old legislation before WIOA, so it was WIA. So if you do say WIA, it's going to throw people off. But if you and I'm sorry to nitpick, but it's one of those acronyms that in the industry we're like, well, no, don't say WIA, it's WIOA now. So, but yeah, if you just call the AJC and say, hey, I want to get involved with the WIOA funding because I want to upskill or what have you, they'll totally understand. Even if you say WIA, they'll understand. But yeah, they'll get you. Just American Job Center anywhere, Virginia, Prince George's County, Frederick County. It's the same service, same funding everywhere.
And the American Job Center approach that exists pretty much state by state. So you have to go to find out where they're located near you if you're not in this county, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And everyone is county specific. So if you based on your zip code, that's where you would need to go. That's where you would be eligible for funding.
Perfect. And any other questions from the audience? I wanted to make sure that I'm monitoring the chat. I don't see anything else, but I wanted to find out if there's anybody else that has any questions, because I want to make sure that we allow you time and just ask any questions regarding this particular program. One of the questions that I have to the audience is, as you're currently job seeking, what are some of the types of either certifications or certificates that you see that you would have a need to kind of fit some of the roles that you're seeking right now? And maybe you can type this via the chat so that we give us an idea. If it's not a PMP, but it's something else, let us know, because I'm really curious to find out if you're really, whatever's next for you, what are the kind of upskill, reskill certification or certificate programs that you're looking for, and find out if those are available through any of the training providers that are here in Maryland, or you might need to investigate if you're in a different state. What are those training providers that, and what are the programs that they have under them? And I don't see anything else. You can either raise your hand or you can type in your question on the chat. I'm looking to see if there's anything else besides the things that I've. And I just want to make sure everybody has access to the chat, right? I believe so. Oh, okay. So Michelle says the microphone is not working. Can you elaborate on the extensive paperwork that is required for qualifying to be eligible for funding?
Yeah, let me look it up so I can give you exactly.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Document checklist.
How you doing, James? This is Adam. So for those who are not, I'm trying to remember the state. Wyoming, was it? Which state did you say was applicable for?
This is all available throughout any state because it's a federal program. You just have to go to your local county career advisor and find your local American Job Center nearest you. They're deployed nationwide, and then find the career advisor, and they'll tell you how to qualify and how to navigate the actual application process, and also give you the list of type of certificate or certification programs that you could qualify to get funding for.
And I'm
So
also
here's
saying I'm also saying WIOA, which might be throwing everybody off, but I just put the acronym in the chat. If you ask for WIOA programming or WIOA, then any American Job Center is going to know exactly what you're talking about. And
so here's the thing. I'm
There you
actually
go.
familiar. I'm actually familiar with WIOA, and I believe I used it during the pandemic. So my question is there a finite amount for each person? Because when I used it, I ended up in a boot camp, and that launched me into cybersecurity, which I'm currently studying. But is there something like that for, say, like project management? Because one of the things I looked at is some courses that exist. I know MIT's got a course. They want like $8,000. And I'm a couple other universities, this one wants $4,000, this one wants $3,000, things like that. So being that I have utilized WIOA, I've actually had to hand deliver the checks. What can I call them? Can I call upon that again, or how does that go? And if not, is there something that maybe I can look into that has an offering for project management to do some kind of training or something like that?
so the cap is $5,000 per person, and once you use that up, I believe it's 3 years before you can use it again. So yeah, so if you've used part of that, then you should still be eligible to use for more for more funding. And like I say, it's if you have a career advisor right now, and you've already done an ITA around your present career, then you just put in for another one. Sorry, just apply for another ITA through that career advisor, because again, we're allocated this funding through the federal government, so we need to spend it. So it's not something that folks are going to be stingy about, but you just need to qualify. It needs to make sense, based on your background, your resume, and if someone's just always been a rocket scientist and now they want to be a CDL director. I don't know if that's the best example.
Right,
If it's way far away from whatever
Yeah.
you've done, then there may be a little issue there. But if it makes sense, then yeah, you
I would.
access the funding.
So then, to answer the question of, I think someone else asked about like what certifications, I think and I don't know if everyone is technology based, because I guess I have a technology base, but I know there's a lot of call for AI. So anything that you can learn on artificial intelligence for business applications will be helpful. If you can understand the nature of cloud computing, that will be helpful. Data analytics or data visualization is helpful. You know, even in the context, I know some people are not individual contributors. They're maybe looking to manage others, but even in those concepts, understanding some of these emerging technologies has shown to be very apparent. And then also, I guess where I'm at, because I'm in Miami, in Florida, one of the things that I'm a part of Miami Tech Talent Coalition. And so what that is it's a organization of professionals who basically come together like a think tank to try to figure out, hey, what do we need? What's the industry asking for? And how do we get people there? So one of the things that came up, and I don't know if it varies in different markets, but communications, marketing came up, you know, things like that. So I don't know where everyone stands in those areas, but I guess what I took from that is building in the areas that I just mentioned seems like the go-to for me. So like I'm learning AWS, I'm looking at, you know, maybe Azure, which is Microsoft's product. Also Google Cloud, you know, and you know, if you're talking about upskilling, just looking at what is really being pushed right now and seeing what you can grab out of those options to kind of freshen up what you already have on your skill sets.
So what I would recommend, Adam, is find a career advisor near you and find out, you know, what are the programs that qualify, because I would say they vary from state to state, and they may vary also between county by county. I know that sometimes in some areas, you know, because there's actually incentives to bring in specific type of skill sets. Sometimes that is translated into yearly plans, and you just have to, and they may vary. So I would say inquire with your local career advisor to figure out which of those programs that you may have an interest would qualify for funding from under the WIOA program.
Yeah, let me say this, and Michelle, I haven't forgotten about your question. I have it. Oh, you now have another one. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'll get to that. But that's a really good point, Hector, is that every area has their own WIOA plan. So the numbers I gave you are Montgomery County specific. And now numbers will probably be very similar all over the country, but don't hold me to those numbers if you're in, for example, Miami, or even if you're in Prince George's County, Maryland, because all I can talk to is Montgomery County. So I should have specified that. My apologies, but it'll be similar. So Michelle, I can maybe share my screen one more quick time.
Yep.
Because let's see. Can you see the documentation?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the required documentation. And this is pretty similar everywhere. Section 1, proof of residency. So you can usually get that with your, driver's license. Proof of social security number, obviously, social security card. I'm sorry. And then number 3, your birth certificate will generally suffice. And then for some reason, they also want proof of selective service registration for men. So it's an easy thing. You go to the what is it? It's a website, SS. I think it's just SS, and you can verify your registration. Again, age, driver's license for number 5, proof of income. They want like the latest tax document or pay stub just to see where you're at. The proof of income isn't gonna make you ineligible. Like say you made $200,000 last year and you may be, well, I'm probably overqualified. That doesn't, all it is for is really what they call priority of service, right? So if someone was very low income, they're probably gonna get training dollars before you if you're a very high income. That's all it means. Or like veterans and spouses of veterans that get priority of service. But I've never seen, I've been in this 13 years, I've actually never seen someone get bumped because of the priority of service, but it's just, it just is what it is. So there's a priority of service. And so that's why they want the proof of income. So that's the documentation checklist. And of course, intake is really good at, well, if I don't have this document, you know, this is a substitute document or what have you. So Michelle, you could actually, quite honestly, the best way, you could walk into Wheaton, but that's the best thing to do. Okay. The best thing to do is send me an email, and I'll put my email in the chat if you're a Montgomery County resident. Montgomery.com. That's my email. And all I need is your name, your email, which I'll obviously have if you send me an email, your phone number, and your zip code. And that will allow me to do an internal referral over to our intake team. And what will happen then is they will send you an email within 10 business days, depending on how swamped they are with referrals. It might be the next day, but it might be within 10 business days. And in that email will be a link that you go to, and there's a couple more questions they ask, like when's the best time to call and that kind of thing. And then based on your response to that, they'll start calling you and getting everything, start asking for your documents and, you know, doing an assessment to make sure that we're the best fit. For some folks, we aren't. For some folks, we get you over to one of our partners. But that's usually for folks who are undocumented and need more internal infrastructure work before they're ready to go to work. But anyway, yeah, that's the best thing to do. And that's at least that's what I always tell people. Just send me an email. I don't want to put you through the rigmarole. Send me an email and I'll get you directly to intake.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, James. I really appreciate that, because I did exactly what Michelle was attempting to do, and I walked into the Wheaton AJC that is near me. And you cannot believe that I had to do a lot of different things, and none of them had to do with answering my question, which was, hey, as a dislocated resident that lives near here, can I qualify to get funding for a university executive education certificate course? And I mean, there's plenty of those available. I think Adam's to kind of connecting this to Adam's question. You know, Wharton, Kellogg, Harvard, a lot of these universities post-COVID now have introduced these online certificate or certification courses for working managers. So there's, like, for example, Chief Product Officer certification from Kellogg. There's a COO type, and I'm looking for these roles myself. But these courses are expensive. They're usually about 6, maybe 9 months or longer. They're all online, but also have a component, and there's thousands of dollars. So my question is, are they going to be on that list that you're talking about, the ETPL list for those type of courses? Because I'm saying that maybe there's plain vanilla type of certifications that have been around for some time, but these are new. And for myself, I'm actually working with multiple people that are looking for those type of certificates, because we're looking for our next, not just kind of like senior management or C-suite role. And these are the new courses that are now available from some of these flagship B schools that are here in US.
Yeah, I mean, my answer is probably not going to satisfy you. My answer is if it's on the ETPL, then it can be funded. I don't know if those are on there yet. It is a process for whoever's supplies those courses. Whoever the provider is, they'll have to go through the state of Maryland or whatever state you're in to get on the eligible training provider list. And that's a bit of a process. It's not that bad, but it's a process. So it's not automatic. So they have to be vetted and then deemed eligible by your state. So if you don't see it on the ETPL, then I guess I would suggest I guess, just asking that entity, that service, that training provider to get on the eligible training provider list, because some of them don't even know about it, and then and they're missing out on opportunities because, like I say, we'll pay for it. So this is the first I heard. I knew I learned some stuff coming to this meeting. So,
Yes,
and now I've learned the second thing. The first was POAC, and now is the University Executive Education certificate courses. Yeah, you just have to peruse the ETPL and see if they're on there, and if not, advocate for those providers to advocate for themselves with their state to get on the ETPL.
got it. Okay. No, this is great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your availability and being able to answer questions. And I just want to make sure, audience, do you have any other questions? You can either raise your hand or you can type your question on the chat. I don't
I had
believe
another
we missed.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
So a couple things. One, do you already have to be unemployed? I mean,
No.
can you also, like, even if you're employed, you can still try to use this for upskilling?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I send you my information, can you forward it to whomever down on this end?
I'd be in Miami. Yeah, I could try to
Your
figure out
connections.
Yeah. I'm going to a conference in San Antonio. I'm sure next week. I'm sure I'll run into some Miami folks there. I don't want to promise you that I'm gonna get you that right person, but I'll do the best I can. But
I think it's down here. It's South Florida Workforce Career Source, something like that.
okay.
I think that's what it's called down here. I'm trying to remember when I did it. It was a few years ago. Has it been? You said 3 years, right? Before you can try to.
In Montgomery County. So I didn't know
Wow.
you were out of this area. So don't quote me on that. You have to go through South Florida Workforce and see. It's probably gonna be quicker for you just to go, connect with them yourself. But
Okay.
if you want me to, I can do some research and try to figure out. But I don't have someone I can just connect you directly to.
You don't have a bat phone?
No, or a bad signal. I wish I did.
All right. Well, to be honest with you, while you were talking, I did take a little bit of initiative here to pull up the WIOA website. I located. It led me to Florida Commerce, which then led me to Career Source South Florida, Miami-Dade, Monroe counties. I'm in Miami-Dade. Then I was able to pull up the regional demand occupations list. So now I'm looking at the SOC code, HSHW, occupation title, and also the codes that let you know what kind of training it's going to be. So is it going to be a certificate? Are they looking at community college credit or like a bachelor's? So I'm kind of scrolling through those right now to see what kind of value add I can maybe throw on to what I got based on what I'm looking at here.
You probably got further than I would have at this point. So, but yeah, you might want to just call them as well and say, hey, I'm interested in getting some WIOA funding for some upskilling in my present career, and they'll probably be able to connect you right away to whoever that needs to be.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that I came today because I don't think I would have even thought of that because, I thought it was one and done, but hey, it's a lead. I'll follow a lead. That's one thing I'll do. So
okay.
Yes.
Thank you
No,
so
this is
much.
great. Thank you so much, Adam, for your question, because I think that this is all it's all about.
Yeah.
Any other questions from audience as far as time? I think we're almost about time, but I just want to make sure that we get all your questions answered. And once again, James, thanks so much for making yourself available. I think this is actually well done. I've like I said, every time I've been approaching people, I don't get clear answers, and I think this is actually very valuable. So I really want to thank you for making yourself available and being here with us today. One other question that I wanted to ask you, because this is what right now our Silver Spring chapter, we're kind of leading this. We just recently started and launched what we call PM job search councils. And right now we're in the process of starting 3 different groups. These are all job seekers, and actually we have groups from all over US, people that are job seeking all over US. Their common interest is that we're all PMI members here in US, and we're all job seeking. So that's going to be a 12-week program. And right now we're looking at the ones that are local, because we do have a few that are Montgomery County residents. What would be your recommendation that as they are in the process of job seeking, what should they do to take advantage of the programs that you guys are supporting here in Montgomery County?
Send me that email. Let's get them to intake. So everyone goes through intake. Everyone gets put in that pool, no matter what level they're on. And then once that's done, your folks and their career advisor will just go to work and start to identify opportunities. And they'll start going to the career fairs and also the one-on-one. For that level of job seeker, it'll probably be more one-on-one, interviews with different organizations. So.
Got it. Okay, so Rusty and Michelle, those of you who are here in Montgomery County, this should be part of your to-do list as you're starting and launching these job search councils. Make sure that the local people go to and get assigned to a career advisor that can walk them through not just the job search process, but also if they're in need of getting funding for certificate or certification courses, go to a career advisor to figure out exactly how to get that started as you continue doing job seeking as well.
Yeah. And
so this is great. Thank you so much, James. Once again, thanks everyone for being here. I think we're pretty much at time, so I want to thank all of you. We are recording this, and we will send you a link where you can view the recording. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to me, or you can also contact James directly. His email is here. And we're also going to be sharing the saved chat, or you can either save the chat yourselves, or we'll make that accessible to you after today's live session. So once again, James, thank you so much for being here. Hope that we can maybe work out doing this sometime in the next few months, because we're looking at doing these ongoing to provide our members and also other dislocated workers in US this type of service, because we're finding out there's not enough of this kind of discussions to really learn and understand what resources are available to us as we are looking for our next role.
Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for your time.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week, or have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.